Now we're doing part 2 of the driving tour of Queen Anne. We already showed you Lower Queen Anne, Upper Queen Anne. Now we're going to go to the west side of Queen Anne, close to Interbay. Take you on a little driving tour so you know exactly what to see. All right, come along, let's go. Here we go. So we are starting where we left off on the first tour, and we are on Upper Queen Anne, heading south on Queen Anne Ave. If you didn't get to see part 1, make sure to go back and check that out. But we're on the upper portion of Queen Anne. Now, both of these videos, we're not even going to show the north slope of Queen Anne, which is where it slopes back down toward Fremont and Ballard, but we've shown Lower Queen Anne, the east side of Queen Anne a bit, Upper Queen Anne, and now we're going to show you the west side of Queen Anne. Well, rather, we're going to go down the hill of Queen Anne Ave so you get to see the view, and then we're going to show you the west side of Queen Anne. So currently we're on Queen Anne Ave, and what you want to see here is that there's a lot of shops, restaurants, lots of people walking around, and a lot of liveliness here in this area of Queen Anne. And then as we go down the hill, you start to see some of the amazing views that Queen Anne offers. And you're going to see even more of these because we're going to drive past Kerry Park, so you can see that as well. Now, Kerry Park is one of the most iconic parks in Seattle because it has one of the best views out over the city, and you'll see exactly what I mean as we head past Kerry Park and you get to see this. So we're turning west right now onto Highland Drive. Now this is also one of the most iconic streets in Queen Anne because of these views. This is definitely a local neighborhood spot, but a lot of tourists know about Kerry Park because of these views that you're about to see. So when you drive past Kerry Park, you're going to see a ton of people here. There's lots of people here. It's a nice day, and these views are amazing. As you look out over Kerry Park, well, you can't even see it because we're not at the edge, but you do see some of that water. You can see all the way over to West Seattle. You see the ferries going back and forth from Seattle to Bainbridge, and a ton of water. And then as you continue on westward on Highland Drive, you'll see some of these houses here. So you see pretty magnificent houses here because their view looks back over what we just saw, basically, which is the view of the Puget Sound. So definitely some mansions back here, like huge homes that are probably all built in the 1900s, but then have been rebuilt or remodeled, and really magnificent because of the history and the architecture, and then also the views here on Queen Anne. So now we're headed north again. We'll go on Comstock so you can see a few more of these houses up here, which are pretty incredible. Now this is what people are talking about when they talk about Queen Anne as a very, very luxurious area within the city. A ton of nice big trees, sidewalks, and really amazing homes. Now we're getting closer over to the west side of Queen Anne. So you'll start to see like this, the streets start to turn to go north again. It's harder, a little bit harder to get down onto the west side. We will keep going here north. We're gonna keep going because we can't go down Lee Street to show you some of these homes that are here. Again, Queen Anne is a mix of condos on the west and east sides, as well as Lower Queen Anne, and then townhomes as well in those areas. A few more townhomes popping up in some of the single family home neighborhoods because of just density requirements and needing more housing in Seattle. But a lot of Queen Anne as a neighborhood has maintained single family homes up here at the top of Queen Anne Hill. And again, these are quite expensive, typically starting above $1 million for anything that is move-in ready, if not higher than that, and going up into the multi-million-dollar price range because, like I said before, views, history, architecture, as well as the space you get here. So you get a little more space than in a lot of neighborhoods where there's more density, so you have a bit more to see. So we're still headed north here. Now we are on the west side of Queen Anne Ave at this point. So I'm gonna show you what this looks like. We're still only a couple blocks from Queen Anne Ave. So we're still in a great area of Queen Anne where you can get to a lot. But as you see on our left, there's a wall because the slope starts to drop pretty dramatically from here down to the west side. And so this will quickly start to turn into condos, apartment buildings, and townhomes because it gets more and more dense as we get closer over here to a neighborhood called Interbay. That's what we would call Interbay because Interbay is where you go in between Queen Anne and Magnolia, the neighborhood of Magnolia. And it's a little bit more industrial because closer to the cruise ship terminal where people come in for cruises. There's a lot more of that over here. So as we go down the hill, you'll see there's still single family homes here, but as we get down this hill, it starts to turn into more apartment buildings, condos, still considered Queen Anne, just a more dense part of Queen Anne. Now we're going to turn north onto 10th Avenue West. Now 10th Avenue is a bit of a thoroughfare as well. You can see there's a bus stop here. Buses do come up this side of Queen Anne and to the back of Queen Anne. So this is definitely kind of the edge of the west side. You still can down here. And you'll see closer to Interbay as we head over here. North side of Queen Anne, which we'll get to from 10th, is still very charming. A lot of single family homes over here. You can see I really love this tree-lined street. I actually sold a house up here on 10th Avenue West a couple years ago, and one of my favorite parts was driving down this street because you get to see these amazing trees here, which are pretty spectacular. Yeah, here's the house I sold with the American flag over here. And we'll cut off 10th here so we can show you a little bit about getting down to Interbay. So you see, go down this street, this steep slope that we're on. This is really where we start to get to the west side of Queen Anne. Really a lot less right around the houses here. Some say it's less walkable because you'd have to go up that hill that we just came down in order to get to Queen Anne Ave, which most of the stuff is, or you'd have to drive. Oh, here's where my clients live as well, on the left, but feels maybe a little less walkable because of that. So you have fewer places, restaurants, anything like that to go to when you're here, but still great homes. You still have views when you're looking west. Right now we're going south, so if you're on the right side of the street, you still have views out to the water from here and over to Magnolia. That is still a perk of this side of Queen Anne. You still have those great views, just a bit more driving that you have to do on this side of the hill. Now, if you want to be close to Ballard, which is the neighborhood after you go through Interbay, this is a great place to be close to Ballard because it only takes a short drive to get there. Whereas if you live in Ballard and you want to get downtown, that's probably a 20-minute drive because it's a little further away, harder to get to. The other thing about this side of Queen Anne is the streets start to become like this, where you see the median is basically a step up to the other side of the street because the hill is so steep. You have to have this kind of step ladder effect to be able to get down the hill. And that's where we'll go. We'll go down the hill. So now we're going back northwest. We've kind of zigzagged around this hill a bit. And so now you see we're closer to a lot of condos, apartment buildings. We're headed right down into Interbay, which is getting on this kind of major thoroughfare. Now down here on Interbay, there's a driving range. There is a Whole Foods. There's kind of like almost like a shopping center. It's kind of like a, drive-in shopping center, but you have a lot of conveniences over here. You have the Brown Bear car wash, which I like to go to. And we're gonna turn right. This will take us north, and this is the path you would go on if you're going to Ballard. If you're going downtown, you would go left there and you would go south. This is really the furthest side of West Queen Anne. You can see they're building a lot here. There's storage. On the left is the driving range and a little more industrial of a feel as we get closer to Interbay. So that is the west side of Queen Anne. You got to see, if you watch both videos, if you didn't watch the first one, here it is, check it out. To see both videos, to see all of Queen Anne, upper, lower, east and west parts of Queen Anne in Seattle, Washington. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.